Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a quick min-max tip for your spellcaster builds. So recently I have been shown a pretty cool cluster jewel tech which you can fit into your builds, which is going to increase your damage significantly at a pretty low cost. It's pretty easy to fit into most builds, and a lot of the prerequisites are already ticked in most endgame setups, which is super duper cool. So what is this tech and what can you expect from it? So if you're really missing quite a bit of what the cluster jewel offers, you can get up to 21% more damage from this quick little tip at the cost of not really too much at all. And on the offside, you can kind of get this maybe about 15% if you do have one of the things the cluster jewel offers. So cluster jewels. Let's take a look at it. What is the cluster jewel we're talking about here? We're talking about a medium cluster jewel with curse effect on it, allowing you to allocate Wish for Death and Master of Fear. So these two passive points on this cluster jewel are very, very powerful. If your build is able to apply curses to monsters, all enemies you curse will be unnerved as well as culled. So Culling Strike in PoE will basically execute any monster with 10% or lower health that you hit, essentially culling it. So what this effectively means is Cyrus has 10% less HP, Shaper has 10% less HP, every map boss 10% less HP. So this is actually absolutely insane, and you absolutely should be running Cull on your build. Now, traditionally, if you're playing an assassin, you maybe have access to Cull, but a lot of people are taking opportunistic. And if you're playing a Slayer, you probably have access to Cull, but we're not playing a Slayer right now. And we're playing an assassin. So this is a very powerful ability. Having Culling Strike is absolutely something you want in your build, and this cluster jewel is a great way to get it. So that's going to be 10% more damage for your build and a lot of quality of life. It's a very noticeable improvement when you're like killing the boss and boom, it just suddenly pops dead at 10%. The other half of this cluster jewel is Unnerved. So Unnerved is an ability, as you can see here, is that enemies take 10% increased spell damage. So all damage your spells deal against cursed enemies will be increased by 10% more. So this is actually insane. It's a 10% more multiplier, and when you consider something that is build defining like blood magic is only a 30% more multiplier, and we're getting a third of blood magic for basically like not very much investment at all, it's actually incredible. So this is a very, very powerful cluster jewel combination, and you should be trying to fit it into pretty much every build that you can which uses spells, because it's very, very incredible. Now, this is actually kind of an expensive cluster jewel these days, but there's some pretty cheap budget alternatives if you don't want to splash the cash on this kind of a cluster jewel. So if you're looking for some cheap alternatives, you can pick up one half of the cluster jewel we just described there, based on your needs. So maybe you already have Cull. Well, you may want to pick up Unnerve, and if you already have Unnerve on maybe like your gloves or something like that, you can pick up Cull. Either one of the half. And then the other thing you want to look at going for is Evil Eye. So enemies you curse take 5% increased damage, and non-curse enemies you inflict your curses to are blinded for 4 seconds. So this is an incredible defensive layer, because blinded enemies have half the chance to hit you. And if you're already got a kind of an evasion build, or you're using Badge of the Brotherhood, you're going to be incredibly difficult for monsters to hit, and you're probably not going to get hit much at all, which is very, very good. And this is honestly potentially even better than one of these things, and it's going to be significantly cheaper for you guys to pick up. So you can kind of pick which one you want. Do you want the Cull? Do you want the Unnerve? And then you can kind of pick up Evil Eye as well. So it's only 5%, which is half as good as one of the other nodes, but hey, 15% more damage, that's going to be still really, really good for most builds. So I think, you know, in general, as long as you're cursing on hit, whether that's with a Herald of Ice curse on hit setup, you know, a Herald of Thunder curse on hit setup, you know, some curse on hit from the gloves, from like, for example, a corruption in the gloves, or with a synth implicit, which are pretty cheap these days as well. I don't have a curse ring on me right now, but you can get them pretty easy as well, which is pretty cool. So I think it's pretty easy to apply curses these days. They're pretty powerful, and this just takes them to the next level. So it's been a pretty short video, guys, but if you like these kind of tip videos, you know, kind of like little bit of informational things which let you kind of improve your build here and there, as I find them, do you guys want me to share them like in these video formats? Would you prefer them in build guides? What do you guys reckon? I guess we'll see in the comments. Definitely let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.